I'm Judy Murray, and I'm here to share with you lots of ideas as to how you can deliver tennis all through the school curriculum. I know that many schools don't have tennis courts, so I've devised a whole lot of games and activities that can be played in small spaces, whether that's the school gym, the playground, your astro pitch outside, and everything being done in small spaces allows us to develop the skills that you need to be able to play tennis. And of course, those skills are the same skills that underpin all sports. To make it fun and engaging for the kids, I always start with the simplest things. It's really important for me that kids build confidence and enjoyment through the success. And we know that if you have a class of 30 children, you're going to have a real mix of abilities and concentration spans. When tennis was first invented, it was played just with the hand and the ball. So I always start every set of exercise just using the hands, because if we can create the motions or movements that mimic what tennis will ask us to do with a racket with our hands, it's much easier for kids when we then ask them to put the racket in their hands and do exactly the same thing. And everything that I'm going to show you will be very progressive. So starting with the simplest thing and layering it up until eventually it leads us to a tennis rally and quite a complicated skill. So the equipment that I'll use today are largely things that you'll find in your school cupboard. We've got hoops, chiffon squares, sponge balls, we've got a few low pressure tennis balls, fluff balls. If you haven't seen them before, they fit into small hands and they don't hurt. Bean bags, cones, balloons, bats, tennis rackets, hula hoops. We don't use a net. I feel like a net's a barrier. You know, if kids hit it in the net, they think they've done something wrong. So I use barrier tape and a couple of uprights here, or you could use chairs. And then my very favorite piece of equipment, which is my hooter. I hate shouting at kids, and often when I go into schools, I don't know anybody in any case. So this is my way of starting and stopping each activity and getting the kids' attention. So my most valuable piece of equipment. My coaching philosophy is all about creating the games and activities that will do the teaching for me. I always start with the simplest thing and then I layer it up. So what you'll see as the starting point of any of the games or activities, if it is done in the right sequence and you go at the pace of the children, I tend to go really fast. I have a keep up mentality. You would obviously go at your own pace depending on who's in front of you, but you will end up getting to a much higher level of skill if you go through all the logical progressions to the exercise. You will see that the exercises can be done with all sorts of different pieces of equipment, again, depending on what you've got in your cupboard and who is in front of you. Tennis is competing with so many other things nowadays for our attention that it's really important that everything that we do is fun, stimulating, and doable. And we all get much more enjoyment and confidence out of doing something if we experience success. I understand very well what tennis will demand of us as players, and therefore it helps me to understand what it will demand of us all as teachers. I'm a huge believer of learning to control the body, to control the bat, to control the ball in a small space first, and then growing it gradually into a bigger space. Tennis is a hit, move and think sport. So if we learn to hit or roll or kick or trap or send receive in a small space and then add a little bit of movement, and then finally we add the thinking part, which is all about learning how to play the game and enjoying the challenge of competition. All of the games and activities in this resource will break down the skills that you need to be able to play tennis, but those are the same skills that underpin all sports. This resource is ideal for physical education because the practices develop skills that are transferable.